beauty in the way that Krishnamurti refers to it, and the way that really all the sages refer to it, um, is the transcendent beauty that is within us, and that is actually the ground of our very being. Because I'm, not wanting to give the whole game away, but and you may know this anyway, beauty and love and truth are all one movement. They're the same thing. Just slightly different aspects of the one energy that moves the universe, as Dante would say, the poet Dante. So I want to just present today a number of Krishnamurti's insights with regard to beauty and the sacred, and sprinkle in a few of my own and a few of a couple of others, people who I admire. And then, we're living in a time where I know you might agree, where beauty and the sacred are really more important than they've ever been before. To actually have that in our life as a day-to-day experience, to encounter beauty, to encounter the wonder all around us that we so often don't see. So that is the general direction of where we're going, is to explore what it is we don't see, mostly, and look into a kind of deeper awareness in which our lives can be, more enriched with the beauty outside our very window, or inside our own home, inside our own being. And that's quite healing, it's quite nourishing, and it's the truth. Because each one of us is a walking expression of the beauty of love. We just don't often or always have an awareness of that. And this is me speaking, and I believe that this is also Krishnamurti's point of view. And part of the mission he had was to help us strip away what was in the way of us seeing how beautiful we are. I can put it that way. So what I'm going to do is start a PowerPoint presentation. Most of you know that how I do this. And during the talk, there will be interludes or intervals where we can together go silent. Sometimes there'll be a piece of music where you can just listen in stillness as we do that together. Sometimes it'll just be a moment to take a breath and get in touch with the body, the heart, the mind. So with that, I will begin. The human crisis is so extraordinary, so intricate, so subtle that it urgently demands that we have a new mind and a new heart. He says we want to change the heart of others without changing our own hearts. Don't bother about the others. Begin with yourself. That sounds like a cliche, but it isn't. And I brought this Native American statement in because it says it in a different way. The longest and most sacred journey you will ever make is from your head to your heart. So really what this whole series has been about is a divided mind and heart is what creates a divided world. The Indian mystic Kabir said, "Lift the veil that obscures the heart, and there you will find what you are looking for." And of course, that veil is the conditioned mind, the talking mind, the mind that divides countries, that divides you from me, Catholic from Protestant, etc., etc. So what's in the way of this communion with the wisdom of our own heart and a more compassionate world is what I call the fog of conditioning. Is Krishnamurti's word, of course, conditioning or conditioned mind. The fog of conditioning distorts our perception of ourselves, others, and the world. And this fog prevents us from seeing our conditioning, from having a mind that is quiet enough to see what causes our psychological suffering. It seems to me that we're so often just looking through a thick fog. And that thick fog is centuries of conditioning. And this is the difficult work that Krishnamurti and others have been pointing to for a very long time. This is what has to happen for a new mind and heart to be born, for a new humanity to emerge. So let's just take a moment of breath awareness and silence. Just get in touch with your body. Notice your breath. And notice that the minute you begin to give attention to your breath, how much quieter you are. Your attention is merely on breathing. And that's such a good way to slow down the talking mind. These very small intervals of quietude, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes during the day, brings us into a much quieter space where we can listen and see in a very different way. And that brings me to beauty. Beauty and the sacred. But first we're going to begin with beauty, not to separate them, but first just to speak about beauty and then the sacred and how they're intertwined. So Krishnamurti said, beauty has great significance in life. One may be surrounded by great beauty, by mountains and fields and rivers, but unless one is alive to it all, one might just as well be dead. And of course, we all understand this. We may be driving in heavy traffic, we may be involved with some stress in our lives, and we simply forget to notice the beauty of a tree, of the mountain, of the rain, of a breeze touching your face. We hardly notice these things when the mind is in charge. And as a reminder, the word beauty is not beauty. And an image of beauty is not beauty. So we use images, we use words, language to point to something that the thinking mind cannot conceive of. So Kay says, when there is the absence of that self with all its problems, there is then great beauty, not in something or externally or subjectively, but the very complex problems of one's life, which is the problem of the self, the selfishness, the agony, and so on. To be free of all that totally, completely, then there is great beauty. Beauty to be found nowhere else on earth, or in any painting or in any poem. And that beauty is within you. He says there is beauty of form, beauty of design, beauty of life. Have you ever observed the lovely shape of a tree when it is in full foliage, or the extraordinary delicacy of a tree naked against the sky? Such things are beautiful to behold, but they are all expressions of something much deeper. The beauty we behold in the natural world is an expression of something much deeper to be found within you. So what is it that we call beauty? It is inward beauty that gives grace, an exquisite gentleness to outward form and movement. And what is this inward beauty without which one's life is very shallow? Have you ever thought about it? So what is this beauty that gives grace to the exquisite, as an exquisite gentleness to outward form and movement? Krishnamurti calls it sensitivity. Without sensitivity, there is no beauty. It's with the attention, the awareness of what's in front of us that sensitivity arises from. And it seems to me that sensitivity is very delicate quality. Not hypersensitivity or sentimentality or anything like that, but a sensitivity that shows me my relatedness to what I see. Whether it's a human being, a coyote, a flower, a rainbow. It's sensitivity to the living expression of life in every form it takes that is beauty. So he said when he was in India on one of his trips, when your total being, body, mind, and heart is sensitive to beauty and to ugliness, to the donkey tied to a post, having the sensitivity for an animal that is overburdened, for anything we see that is in duress. When your total being is sensitive to the poverty and filth in this town, to laughter and tears, to everything around you. From this sensitivity for the whole of existence springs goodness, love, and without this sensitivity there is no beauty. One of the things that's so marvelous about the way he peels away the onion, as it were, is that, you know, there is a he's really saying there's a prerequisite to the apprehension of beauty in its more transcendent form. And that prerequisite is the inner sensitivity that relates to the very beauty you behold. And then beauty is only possible when there is silence. Because if the mind is making a comment, oh, that's beautiful, I want more of that. Or if the mind is simply chattering away, there's no possibility of actually seeing beauty. I'm quoting myself here, so forgive me, but it is linked to what was just said. In the stillness of nature, the mind can be cleared of its noisy content, and then for a few seconds, there is enough inner silence to be in union with the incredible beauty and tranquility of what is seen. It's so beautiful it takes the breath away, and perhaps even moves you to tears. A truly quiet mind opens the heart. What is witnessed in such silent moments is a resonance with the spiritual beauty at the center of your being. Without realizing it, you are gazing into your own inner light, the light and beauty of silent awareness. So it seems to me there is a resonance within us to the beauty that our senses perceive, because in us is the very beauty we are perceiving. They resonate with each other. And when the mind is utterly silent, there is love. And love is beauty. So this is a moment to relax again and listen. I invite you to give yourself permission to fully relax and just give your attention to listening, and that's all. Listening can be healing. You can listen to the music and just let it sort of enter your body and your senses. And if you have a thought about it or a feeling about it, notice it. And then let that go. So, Krishnamurti again, it is only in silence that there is beauty. As we are, we only know beauty in the object, in a poem, music, a picture, and so on. But is there beauty without the object? If there is no beauty without the object, then there is no beauty at all. And to find this quality of beauty is really to find, if I may use that word, love. This quality of beauty can only exist in silence. So once again, beauty is love. He says you have to be terribly serious. You have to be completely dedicated to this search, because it is only when you are serious that you live. It's only when you are deeply, fundamentally earnest that life opens, has meaning, has beauty. This search, this inner search for a larger degree of freedom, for beauty, which is love, is hindered by the mind, the conditioned mind. And that's because we see the world within the localized framework of our personal history and cultural perspectives. For example, some people see a deer stag in the woods and feel a sense of wonder as they gaze at such wild beauty. Others look at the stag's magnificent head with antlers and see a hunting trophy to hang on the wall and show off to friends. In one instance, there is respect for the dignity of wildlife. In the other, the deer is expendable if it brings satisfaction to the ego. In this sense, you are what you see or what you don't see. There's no judgment here. It's simply what you see or don't see. And how that affects the world around you. I have brought this statement of Krishnamurti's in before, but it is one of the more significant of all the significant things he said. This is one of the close to the top of the list. It is very important to understand that the act of seeing is the only truth. There is nothing else. And you could say the reason for that is because in the art of seeing lies the miracle of transformation, wherein beauty and love live, if I can put it that way. And that brings me to the sacred. As I've already said, and Krishnamurti's already said, and others, that beauty and the sacred are intertwined like our DNA. Transcendent beauty is sacred, and the sacred is transcendent beauty. So in approaching this question of the sacred, he said, all of us, at least those who are even a little serious, thoughtful and earnest, must have asked whether there is anything sacred at all, anything holy. Perhaps you've asked a question like this, if not in these words, at some point in your life. wondering if there is a divine presence, particularly when times are tough. He said, man has spoken of this throughout centuries, seeking something that is imperishable, that is not created by the mind, that is holy in itself, something that is never touched by the past. Man is always seeking that. And man and woman seeking that, not finding it, has invented religion, organized belief. A serious man or woman has to find out, not through some rock, temple, or idea, but he or she has to find what is really, truly, everlastingly sacred. If you cannot find it, you will always be cruel. You will always be in conflict. Now, for a lot of people, the things that Krishnamurti said about organized religion can seem harsh. But anything that has to do with thought, with the structure of the conditioned mind, cannot set us free. The sacred cannot be found that way, is all he's saying. He's not against the Buddha or the Christ. It's simply, this is something we have to find in our own heart. That's all. For him, a religious mind has no philosophy because it is already with that which is eternally sacred. So, as some of you, maybe most of you know, Krishnamurti's way of expressing a religious mind is very different from the way it's viewed in the traditions, the religious traditions. A truly religious mind is free. Now, to put it in my words, a truly religious mind is united with the heart. Where there is compassion. So one of the ways he explains our attachment to belief systems is with this story. He said, take a stick, a piece of stick, put it on the mantelpiece, and every day put a flower in front of it and repeat some words. Coca-Cola, Amen, Om. It doesn't matter what word, any word you like. Listen, don't laugh it off. People laughed when he said this. Do it and you will find out. If you do it, after a month, you will see how holy it has become. You have identified yourself with that stick, and you have made it into something sacred, holy, but it is not. You have given it a sense of holiness out of your fear, out of constant habit of tradition, giving yourself over, surrendering yourself to something which you consider holy. The image in the temple is no more holy than a piece of rock by the roadside. So it is very important to find out what is really sacred, what is really holy, if there is such a thing at all. The sacred is not outside. It's not in a relic an image, a symbol. He said, to find out what is sacred, the mind must know the total content of itself. So once again, we are brought back to stripping away what is not sacred in order to discover the ever-present sacred. It's this work of unveiling ourselves to ourselves so we can get out of the way of what is always there, present in us, which is love, which is sacred. In the quiet stillness of the mind, that which is everlastingly beautiful or beauty comes uninvited, unsought. It seems to me that the access, if I can use that word, the portal to this stillness, to the sacred, is to simply let go, to relax, to listen. I find listening a helpful way of getting quiet, to come to my breath, and the mind slows down without me forcing anything. And as it becomes quieter and quieter, beauty and the sacred appear, uninvited, unsought, because it's always there. It's the structure of the ordinary mind that blocks it. And here is the key. Without compassion, the sacred can never be found. He said love, he often used compassion and love interchangeably, is tremendously passionate and therefore acts immediately. It has no interval, no time interval between seeing and the doing. And when you have that love, you can put away all your sacred books, all your gods. And you have to put away your sacred books, your gods, your everyday ambitions to come upon that love. That is the only sacred thing there is. And to come upon it, goodness must flower. Goodness can only flower in freedom, not in tradition. So the only sacred thing that there is love. That's been said before in different ways. But according to Krishnamurti, we don't come upon it, its deepest dimension, if we're trapped in a tradition, a system of belief, or trapped in our past, in memory. trapped in the conversations that go on in the mind, in the head. And this is my view: to be compassionate is a sacred act. It is the inner recognition of the dignity and beauty of the totality of life. What arises is a spontaneous act of love without motive, a love that emanates from the heart. I really have the view that Krishnamurti was always talking about love and what stood in the way of love. Those two things. It seems to me everything that he brought was built around that. So in exploring this and in contemplating the centrality of compassion, as the foundation of a new mind and heart, here are two questions I ask. What is my existence for if I have no compassion? Can there be meaning for the human species without compassion? If the only thing that is sacred is love or compassion, can there be any meaning for us without it? And so when you speak about meaning, one of the most brilliant and compassionate men who ever lived, Viktor Frankl, who wrote Man's Search for Meaning, as you probably know, many of you, who he was, a psychiatrist, philosopher, and Holocaust survivor. He said, in attempting to answer the question of the meaning of life, that most human of all questions, man is thrown back upon himself, and he must realize that it is he who is questioned by life, and he has to answer and be answerable with his or her life. And I think this is another way of saying what Viktor Frankl said. What you are matters enormously, for you are the world and the world is you. This often quoted insight of Krishnamurti's. But in deeply contemplating this, reflecting on this, trying to live this, that's another thing. It's the only thing in that sense. He says a great deal of attention must be paid to the whole process of self-knowledge. We all want a quick remedy. Transformation is something that cannot be caught by mere listening to a few talks. If you know really how to listen, the beauty of listening, then you will see how your mind becomes astonishingly still. And in that stillness, a revolution takes place, a total revolution. This is the new mind and heart. This is the new dimension of being a human being. This is what saves us from ourselves. This is what saves planet Earth. Because, and I love this statement of Kay's, when I understand myself, I understand you. And out of that understanding comes love. He said, now, if a few of us see this together, and it is not mine or yours, but it is so, then we create a new generation. You understand? A new generation, a new species of human beings, if I can say it so grandly, that sees and listens and responds with a new mind and heart. The old brain is silent so that the new can take root. That's how we change ourselves, and that changes the world. So truly rest your mind, relax your body, let go of everything you worry about. It's that clutching, the attachment, the identification that all of us are involved with, that if we just let go, even just for a few minutes, and you notice how different that is, how much more available you are to beauty and to the sacred, to love, when you simply let go of what you think, when you let go of thinking altogether. So just rest, listen, and watch what happens within you as you listen. So beauty, the sacred, compassion, truth, all one movement, interwoven, and always present when we are present. It is the divisions of the conditioned mind that create conflict and suffering. So I just thought it might be helpful, useful, to offer a suggestion this afternoon in the exploration of beauty and the sacred. It's very simple, though. See something beautiful. Because the silent awareness of beauty, when you're silently aware of beauty, this inspires wonder. And wonder generates gratitude and renewal. The whole being regenerates when you are genuinely filled with gratitude. Body, mind, heart. When you are genuinely grateful, there's nothing thinking. There is only the energy of gratitude for the beauty and sacredness within you, for the beauty and sacredness of your own life, your own life's journey. I wonder if we give enough attention to our own life's journey. Because whatever that journey has been, it has brought you to this moment. And I think that's quite beautiful. And this beautiful statement by the poet John Milton: gratitude bestows reverence, allowing us to encounter everyday epiphanies, those transcendent moments of awe that change forever how we experience life and the world. Everyday epiphanies, the sacred beauty. With gratitude. And so lastly, in a world where everything seems to be falling apart, can we go beyond the paralysis of fear and into a deeper understanding of what it means to co-create a new mind and heart?